Hi, welcome to Smeester's Corner. My name's Adam Smeester. Today's topic is the art of self-deception, or how often do you deceive yourself? All right, so let's talk about self-deception. What is self-deception? Self-deception is when you know the truth about yourself, but you have the ability to not know it or to not recognize it because you don't want to know it, right? Now, it sounds kind of complicated, but let's try to make it a little bit more simple here. Why would you do that? It sounds like something only a crazy person would do. Well, the reason that people self-deceive is because there's something that's true about them, and they don't want to know the truth, or they don't want other people to know the truth because recognizing that would make them feel bad about themselves. And people don't want to feel bad about themselves. If they did, they might go, oh, I need to change, and changing is really hard, so I'm just not going to recognize the fact that I have a problem there. So people end up self-deceiving. Now, there are three ways people end up self-deceiving. Why do people do these three things? To cover up things about themselves. The first example of self-deception is called minimizing it, which is when you do an action, you try to minimize the bad action that you've just done so you don't have to reckon with the consequences. Okay, so maybe you lie and you tell yourself, oh, it's just this once. Oh, it doesn't really matter. It's no big deal. It's a little one. And maybe you do that because there's a part of you that doesn't want to have to accept consequences. So maybe that you're covering up the fact that you're lazy. Maybe you steal and you minimize it and you tell yourself, oh, I need it more than they do, or they could afford it, or it's just this once. Maybe you cheat. Maybe you cheat people out of money. Maybe you cheat people out of things. Maybe you cheat on exams. Maybe you cheat in class. There's lots of ways that you could cheat, and maybe you tell yourself, oh, just this once. Oh, it's no big deal, or that wasn't important. Okay? And you're telling yourself and you're minimizing that to cover up the fact that you don't have any principle. Parents do this. So their kid will do something and they'll get told about it, and the parents will say, oh, my kid would never do that. And they're lying to themselves because there were witnesses that said that that kid did it. And maybe they're just trying to cover up and minimize the fact that maybe they're not around a lot, and maybe their kid's crying out and asking for some attention. Maybe you minimize your feelings and you tell yourself, I'm fine, when you're failing in a class, or you're feeling really bad, or you're really unhappy. Okay, and you're telling yourself and you're minimizing it to cover up your insecurity. When you minimize things like this, you're putting all of your problems on one single issue and oversimplifying it and saying, oh, it's no big deal, as a way to tell yourself, oh, it can be fixed easily, when really there's probably a lot more stuff going on there than just that one issue. So maybe there's a lot more going on, and which is why you're lying, than just the one lie you told. But you're kind of putting all the focus on just that one little lie and saying, oh, I'm not going to do that again. It was just one time, when really there's a bigger issue going on. And that's what minimizing things tends to do. The second type of self-deception is called blame shifting. This is when you put the blame on somebody else and you don't take the blame yourself. So maybe you bully, or maybe you see bullying happen. And to cover up the fact that you're a bad person, you bully, or to cover up the fact that you are not a very courageous person and you don't call those people out, you tell yourself, oh, maybe that person deserved it. Yeah, and you kind of talk yourself into why they deserved the attention that they're getting, the bad attention that they're getting, or the bullying that they're getting. Maybe you're frustrated with dating, so you tell yourself, oh, all guys are terrible, or all girls are crazy, to cover up your insecurities because you're not finding success, because maybe there's something that you need to fix about yourself. Students, when they're failing a class, they'll blame shift and they'll say, oh, the teacher doesn't like me, or I'm just no good at X, when really they're telling themselves that to cover up the fact that they're just lazy and they don't want to work hard in that class. They don't want to have to study. So they just explain it away and tell themselves those things. Okay, that's called blame shifting. The third type of self-deception is called doing good things. So you take up causes that you think are good. You go out and do good things that are good. You tell everybody about those things that are good. We have a name for this these days. This is called virtue signaling, where essentially you're trying to pat yourself on the back and let everybody know how great you are. Okay, now, This can be good. You can have good causes. You can go out and do good things. That's good. But the question to ask yourself is, why are you doing them? Are you trying to be a good person, or are you trying to make yourself feel like a good person because inside you feel like you're a really bad person? Or maybe you want people to think that you're a better person than you think you are. Okay, so there's some stuff going on inside that you need to reconcile with, but you're not, and you're going out and just covering up by doing a bunch of good things. A lot of times people will do these good things for acceptance. They don't want people to know the truth about them, so they cover it up, and they're trying to hide the bad parts of themselves. Now, if you do one of these things, and you recognize that one of these three deceptions is a behavior that you exhibit a lot, you need to reconcile with the fact that you do these things first. Then you need to figure out why, what are you trying to cover up? And then once you figure out what you're trying to cover up, you need to wrestle with, okay, how do I make myself better? So the question is, why do you deceive yourself in these ways? Well, in some ways you probably think that you are small. So these self-deceptions help you feel like you're a bigger person, that you're a better person, that you're more powerful than you are, that you're more likable than you are. That's why people do it. So the question becomes, how do you know if you self-deceive? Well, here's the first thing you do. You look for evidence. So here's some questions to think about. Are you a loner? Do you have friends? Maybe you do have friends. Are those the type of friends that you can become vulnerable with? Can you have deep conversations? Can you show them intimate parts of yourself? If not, then maybe you're trying to cover up. Maybe you don't have a lot of friends because you don't want people knowing the real you. Maybe you're scared people will find you out. Maybe you don't want to become vulnerable with people because it's scary, because people might know something about you, and if they know that's part of you, maybe they won't like it, so you cover it up. So maybe you need to work on that a little bit. Those can be some signs. Okay, well, what if you do those things? What if that's you? What do you do about it? All right, so here's what you do about it. First of all, you have to recognize, okay, here's some ways I self-deceive, and I want to do something about it. Then you have to forgive yourself and give yourself some grace for not being a perfect person. Other people, your friends, will also probably find grace to give you because you're not a perfect person. And so when you give yourself grace, you also give other people permission to give you grace. When you give yourself grace, you will also become a better person because you will also start to give other people grace. If you are relentless on judging yourself, you're probably judging other people harshly too. So you lighten up on yourself, you lighten up on other people. Other people will accept you more because they know you're not going to be judging them the same way you judge yourself. Part of giving yourself grace is realizing that you're not all you could be. So you can tell yourself that, hey, I'm not all I could be right now, but I want to be. Just have that conversation with yourself. Recognize it. You'll feel better. Then after you forgive yourself and give yourself some grace, you can tell yourself, I'm not all I could be, but I want to be. And then you have to try to work. Decide that you're going to work at being better. Decide you're going to work at being vulnerable, at telling the truth, at not cheating, at not lying. Decide that you're going to do those things. Decide even if you do, you're going to take the consequences and you're not going to try to lie your way out of your lie. Just doing that will make you a better person because you don't want to face the consequences, so you're not going to do bad things to give yourself consequences to face. So you'll end up doing the right thing more and more once you decide you're going to face consequences. So that's one big leap. So I know that's a lot to wrestle with, but decide that you're going to tell the truth about yourself to yourself. And once you do, you can start wrestling with the things that you know you need to change about yourself. Because that's what life is. It's not necessarily a race, but it's a walk. It's a journey to becoming a better person. And when you become a better person, you make the world around you better too, just by default. So I hope this helps. Thanks for watching.